Story 1. Super loud trucks and the inevitable person looking for lottery tickets in front of me at every gas station when all I want to buy is a single Powerade. Story 2. Customers who talk on the phone while you are assisting them and do not acknowledge you can be quite frustrating. If it is an important conversation, that's understandable, but it can come across as very rude. Story 3. People who eat only one flavor of Neapolitan ice cream and then leave the rest behind are missing out. If you wanted strawberry, just buy strawberry ice cream instead of ignoring the other flavors. Story 4. Watching or listening to accounts of child or animal abuse makes me put everything down and walk away for 5 minutes, or I feel the need to go on the right path. Story 5. People who do not turn off their bright high beams when passing. People who speed up to drive alongside you on the highway when you are trying to pass. Responding with only "oh" to something. Family members pushing you to step outside your comfort zone because they believe they understand your skills better than you do. Being volunteered to do things at the last minute. People signing me up for tasks without my consent or informing me that they have done so. I cannot count how many times I have been signed up for face painting at events without knowing it until much later, with my name posted all over the village and on social media. I did it once and never received the payment they promised. Story 6. When a waitress uses a term of endearment, it feels like fake charm. I am not your sweetie. Just bring me the coffee. Story 7. Whistling is obnoxious and high-pitched, and not everyone wants to share your jolly mood. There is a lack of spatial awareness in shops. When you say, "Excuse me," people look at you as if you are the fool. Parents often let their children run wild, screaming and shrieking in public. Spitting in public is unacceptable. I don't care if you have a bad taste in your mouth. Carry tissues and use discretion. Using the term hollabobs as slang for holidays is unnecessary. Story 8. Really loud cars for no reason. When people reply, "Sorry, I just saw this," to a text when you know their phone is always with them and they have a smartwatch with notifications. It wouldn't bother me at all if they just replied normally hours later or didn't reply at all. However, trying to say they just saw the message frustrates me for some reason. Story 9. Controversial because where I am from, subwoofers are popular in cars. I get migraines easily and those loud sounds trigger them. Not to mention, no one wants to hear or feel a stranger's playlist from up the street. Story 10. Signing up with a Microsoft account, then having to recover my password, and dealing with the rest of my devices asking for the new password afterwards has caused me immense frustration. I have damaged multiple laptops out of sheer rage. Story 11. People who insist on reversing into a parking space, especially when they hold up several other cars because they struggle to do it correctly, earn extra points for attempting to secure that one parking spot in the busiest area when there are plenty of empty spaces just one row over. Story 12. When people leave dog waste bags next to the trail, are you too lazy to throw them in the garbage? Also, people who don't use their turn signals are frustrating. Story 13. If people drive by and stare at me, I know it's my aggressive instinct talking, but I feel an urge to confront them. Story 14. People who bike without helmets frustrate me more than it should. I'm working on reducing my reactionary anger, as I realize it's more than socially acceptable. It may seem minor until you hit a crack incorrectly or swerve to avoid others, such as teenagers speeding by or children suddenly appearing, and end up falling and hitting your head. A helmet is less expensive than a hospital visit. Story 15. When people parallel park but leave so much space between their car that if they had moved up, another car could have parked. Story 16. Logging in the middle of nowhere. I live in the countryside and have a large piece of land. The people who own the adjacent land sold it to loggers, and they destroyed everything. Now I have a huge, ugly, depressing gap in my view. For what? Story 17. People who walk slowly and are unaware of others' presence should be more considerate. It does not matter if you are 8 or 80. Please move out of the way. Story 18. When people ask me why I am so tall and not athletic like basketball players, I explain that not everyone above 6 feet 5 inches wants to be a professional athlete. Story 19. Pickup truck drivers who worry that I might scratch the bed liner a little. That's what it's for. Story 20. The person stood in front of me in a queue. How dare they be here doing the exact same thing as I am? Story 21. Grocery stores are full of people. I know they will be crowded, and I know I'm going to a loud place. I understand that there will be children screaming without anyone trying to quiet them down because many people believe in letting kids express themselves. I will still feel incredibly irritated, stressed, and frustrated with everyone, especially when the aisles are packed with people who are blocking the aisles and standing directly in front of what I need. Story 22. When I worked in retail, I had a clothing section. Reaching into the box of clothes hangers to attempt to pick up just one hanger was frustrating. How many of these hangers are hooked to each other? Story 23. Anyone who is rude to cashiers, waiters, and retail workers is out of line. I was at dinner when a woman came in and insisted on seating herself. The host just rolled his eyes. When it was our turn, I said, "Feel free to seat us anywhere you like." The waitresses next to him giggled and said, "Right? Treat everyone as you want to be treated. It's not that hard." Story 24. Hearing someone eat or my dogs licking themselves nonstop turns me into a rage machine, followed by a wave of guilt. Story 25. When someone chews loudly or with their mouth open, why is it so hard to do quietly? It really kills the vibe. Story 26. When I disagree with someone older than me about an opinion and they say, "You will understand when you are older," it is frustrating. Story 27. Insert breed here and child compilations on YouTube. Not because I dislike dogs or children, quite the opposite, but because it almost always involves clips of children inadvertently mistreating or annoying dogs to the point where I am concerned someone might get bitten. This issue affects all breeds, including those I love. It is a concern in all breed communities, sadly. Story 28. How expensive mattresses are. It took me years to buy a new mattress because I was frustrated by how every store has its own names for each mattress, making comparison shopping impossible. They are very expensive, and there is no way to know if it will last or be good for you and your back until you already own it. Every person I know has spent over $1,000 on a poor quality mattress at some point in their lives, and I didn't want to do that. My partner even said he would no longer go mattress shopping with me because I would get frustrated, and we would leave without purchasing a mattress. In fact, I mentioned earlier that it took me years to buy one. I actually didn't buy a new mattress. My mom downsized her home and gave me the queen mattress from one of her guest rooms. It was identical to her own mattress, which she loved and felt was a very good investment. Now I have it, and it is an amazing mattress, and I love it. I feel sure I will have this mattress for a long time. It's a running joke in my family that XYZ makes me so mad. As mad as someone gets about mattresses. And everybody laughs. But mattresses frustrate me. You mentioned irrational. I think my level of frustration is pretty irrational, but I can't control it. Story 29. Any politician from any party who refuses to answer a direct question in an interview and instead says something like, "What I will say is this, insert daily talking points," frustrates me. I wish more interviewers would call it out when it happens to them. Story 30. People interrupt me with questions, comments, complaints, or criticisms. If they could simply pause for a moment, they wouldn't need to say those things. I feel as though I am being overshadowed by individuals who believe they need to appear smarter or superior to me, as if they must control the situation. Story 31. Excess noise, especially from landscaping at or before 8 a.m., and excessive unnatural light, particularly from the overwhelming LEDs everywhere, contribute to a sensory overload for sensitive individuals. I do not thrive in suburban or urban living environments. I prefer to reside in areas that are truly quiet and dark. Story 32. When someone parks next to you after you purposefully park far away from the store to avoid nearby vehicles, it becomes frustrating. We often encountered issues with people parking so close that we couldn't get into our car. Once, we parked at a store, and a guy pulled up right next to us before we turned off the truck. We thought, no way, so we moved to the next row to park. Guess what happened? They pulled up next to us again. It was infuriating. If I had been driving, I would have moved to another spot. I don't know what was happening, but it was incredibly frustrating. Story 33. Respectability politics. I'm tired of people expecting empathy from those they constantly deny empathy towards on a daily basis. I'm tired of being told that I and others in marginalized communities need to play nice with the same individuals who adamantly hate and want to deny human rights to us. I will be clear when I say this. If you are not a member of a marginalized community and are not actively working to stop systemic violence against these groups, you do not get to dictate how marginalized groups feel or how they respond to systemic violence. Story 34. I witnessed this at a supermarket parking lot today. Someone about to leave the parking lot left their shopping cart in the next space while a person right behind them was driving into that parking lot. I heard honking, and the driver just took off. Story 35. Putting the dirty dishes in the sink instead of to the side of the sink. How can I fill the kettle if the sink is full of dirty dishes? At 4:30 in the morning, I need my coffee as soon as possible. Story 36. People are not taking care of their dogs by leaving them outside, not walking them, not taking them to the veterinarian when they clearly need medical attention, not providing them with enrichment, and exhibiting obvious abuse or neglect. Story 37. When someone does something incredibly annoying but not annoying enough, I notice a cringeworthy video where all the comments are nice. I realize I might be the problem, as all the negative comments appear to be deleted and most of the positive ones seem to be from bots. Story 38. Sirens on police vehicles, fire trucks, and ambulances are just too loud. Feels like something is piercing my eardrums. Story 39. Someone repeating my name or the same phrase to get my attention repeatedly, especially to wake me up, is quite bothersome. Story 40. When I am driving somewhere and there is a turn I do not intend to take, and I am not using my blinkers because I am going straight, the driver at the turn suddenly enters the road in front of me, forcing me to hit the brakes to avoid a collision, even though I had the right of way. This happens to me more often than not. I am seriously considering letting them hit me because their car is likely far more expensive than mine, and I have very few concerns about my own well-being. Story 41. Leaving work papers on my chair or keyboard. Please place them in my inbox. I am forwarding an email that I was carbon copied on. At home, I need to remember to put things away and throw away the trash. Story 42. Note: I live in the United States. I don't know if this applies everywhere. When I am at the grocery store and the person in front of me doesn't bag their own items, expecting the cashier to do it, I want to be clear. I'm specifically talking about someone who can bag their own items but won't. They just stand there holding up the line. I don't understand it. The world is not full of servants for you. Story 43. Almost anything involving cell phones is concerning. People who text and drive, check their email, or scroll through social media while driving pose a risk. Additionally, individuals who walk around in public having conversations on speakerphone often interrupt others. Many shoppers are also unaware of their surroundings while talking on the phone, causing congestion in stores. Story 44. I'm a server, and if your table talks loudly while I'm trying to take your orders, I will be frustrated with you. You know what restaurants are, and I'm about to not bother you for 15 minutes. Please be quiet for a moment. Story 45. People who take a long time to tell a simple story and keep repeating what they just said. Story 46. Workplace disrespect. My name is not sweetheart or honey. I am the boss of this operation. Do not reduce me to being called honey. This is frustrating. Story 47. Cybertrucks. I'm usually a to each his own kind of person, but I cannot find a single redeeming quality about it. The typical owner is just a look at me kind of person. Story 48. People getting in my way in a small kitchen when I am trying to cook or bake something makes me extremely frustrated. My anger escalates quickly. Story 49. Power walking refers to the activity where individuals walk briskly with exaggerated arm movements, often dressed in workout attire, as if they are participating in intense athletic activity. No offense to power walkers. If that motivates you to get off the couch, that's commendable. The question was about experiencing irrationally angry feelings, not justifiably angry. Story 50. Being stuck behind two people in the store who have to catch up in a crowded aisle is frustrating. They always stand in front of the item I need, and their carts are always diagonal, blocking the walkway. Please move. At the gym, there are people sitting on the equipment just scrolling through their phones. I go to a small gym and visit the weight room. It's a small area with 5 guys just sitting on the benches, still scrolling on their phones. I assume they are logging their workouts, but when I go to do a few sets in another room and return, they are still in the same spots, chatting and on their phones. It's so irritating. Story 51. Domestic violence is never justified. While the temptation may be strong, no reason exists that makes it acceptable. It is essential to walk away from such situations. Story 52. The long duration that the iPhone mutes music when you receive a notification. Dropping objects. People talking quietly. Story 53. There is a certain element in some perfumes, candles, and dryer sheets that gives me an instant headache and outrage simultaneously. Story 54. People are accusing me of something I didn't do. Hence Dr. Jekyll and the Incredible Hulk say, "Are you talking to me?" Story 55. When a child accidentally or purposely headbutts you and hits you in the chin or nose, it can make your eyes water. Story 56. People who justify ChatGPT by saying they use it for therapy are not being serious. Story 57. When people leave their turn signals on after making a turn and continue driving straight with their blinker on for over 5 minutes, it drives me insane. How do they not see and hear it? Story 58. I have long hair. It's everywhere. It's like finding glitter whenever I discover it around the house. Story 59. People wish me a happy Easter, but neither they nor I celebrate it religiously. The same goes for Christmas, St. Patrick's Day, and Cinco de Mayo. Everything has become commercialized capitalism, and no one focuses on the true origins. Story 60. People driving 5 to 10 miles below the speed limit, with no one in front of them, combined with drivers who seem unaware of how to use their turn signals. Story 61. I am not finding what I am looking for in the spot where it belongs. Something is not working the way I expect it to. Story 62. I am 37 weeks pregnant, and my womb is large. Every time something falls on the floor, I just want to cry. Bending over or squatting down is so frustrating. Story 63. My music is better than your music because of music theory principles. Your music isn't real music based on arbitrary and inconsistent metrics of musical authenticity. I won't lie. This situation gives me strong urges to engage in conflict. What do they think is going to happen? Oh, you're right. I will start liking your music now and stop listening to mine because I think you are factually correct for some reason. You're so right. Like, no. Story 64. People left the gas pump unattended. I worked at a couple of gas stations when I was a kid in a place where it was illegal for good reason. Story 65. Engaging with Republicans who do not realize they align more closely with democratic values but are hindered by their prejudices. Story 66. I work at a restaurant in the kitchen. The takeout containers are always right next to me. I don't know why, but I feel upset when a server grabs one and asks for something. Feels like I can't reach it. Story 67. Polite people at a 4-way stop. If it's your turn, just go. We waste so much time waving each other through. Story 68. People are having conversations on their phones in public places. We do not want to hear your conversation. Story 69. People are misspelling dining as dinning. It is pure ignorance, and you cannot change my mind about it. This should be learned in the 1st grade. Story 70. Adopt, don't shop. However, you can adopt irresponsibly. It's important to research and determine which dog would be suitable for your lifestyle and consider their various temperaments. Visiting a reputable breeder can help you find a companion that meshes well with you. There's nothing wrong with that. Many impulsively bought dogs I have encountered in my life have been rescues, including huskies and pit bulls, which often do not get enough exercise and become neurotic. Story 71. If you can rationalize why something makes you angry, then you're not irrationally angry. 10 years ago, I could have listed quite a few things that upset me, but now I can explain most of those feelings and no longer let them anger me, although I still feel disappointed by them. Career politicians are a prime example for me closely followed by corporate greed. I cannot explain these issues, and there is nothing I can do about them, so they are not worth my anger. I found another example, my mother's sister. I can explain most of why I dislike her, but there has always been an underlying feeling that I have never been able to articulate. So when my parents ask me to help her, I do feel angry and cannot fully explain why. Story 72. People who say that Czech and Polish people are the same are mistaken. Although some words may sound similar, they are not the same. Both groups have their own distinct cultures, languages, accents, and more. Asserting that they are the same is both insulting and incorrect. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.